Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's another exciting day at Tech Meets Business, Tech Unite Africa 3.0. We are here live at the Museum Center, and standing with me here is a man packed with expertise, one of the speakers. Can I get you to introduce yourself real quick, please?
100%. Good afternoon.
It's
Morning.
afternoon now.
It's still morning.
Yeah.
Apologies. Good
Okay,
morning.
okay.
My name is Bradley Shaw. I'm the Vice President of Middle East and Africa for Lynk Global. We're a LEO satellite operator, a low Earth orbit satellite operator, working in the Sat-to-phone or direct-to-device market. We are connecting unmodified mobile phones, so your Techno, your Huawei, your iPhone, your Samsung, will connect directly to our satellite using mobile operator spectrum. And we will partner with mobile operators to provide services in rural communities where there's currently no connectivity.
Wow.
So we'll look at an operator in country, in Nigeria, for example. They'll give us their maps of where they currently have coverage, and we will provide coverage everywhere else where they don't.
Wow.
So in time, we currently have 5 satellites in orbit. We need to get to around 500 to provide fully 24/7 global service. So we've got a bit of a journey to get there, but we've made public announcements that we are doing a public listing on the NASDAQ in the summer in the US. We're raising in the region of $175 million is the public announcement. And that is predominantly to build and launch satellites to get that network running so that we can provide services and we can bridge the digital divide globally.
Wow. Wow. So one of the things that I just took is obviously something that most business people that I know always capitalize on, where they like to go where the need is, and then they see that need and try to fit. But obviously there are a lot of challenges when you talk about trying to get telecommunication services to these rural areas. So what I wanted to ask is, how have you guys been able to scale through some of those hurdles, and what do you see in the future for rural areas here in Africa?
Yeah, so I personally come from a traditional radio access network background. I sold radio access equipment for close to 10 years before moving into the satellite space. As Lynk Global, providing that coverage is a lot easier because we're doing it from a satellite. We launch the satellites, we operate the satellites, and we provide the coverage. We don't have to build a rural tower. We don't have to travel and carry base stations to the site. I was mentioning earlier, there's a UK-based company called Africa Mobile Networks that operates in Africa. They're in Nigeria and a number of other markets. But they build rural sites in deep rural areas, and they're carrying towers to those sites using dugout canoes and donkeys. Taking solar panels on dugout canoes, taking telecoms equipment on dugout canoes, transferring them to donkeys to get them to sites. That is deep rural connectivity in Africa. What we're doing is we're launching the satellites and then providing that coverage from the satellites. So we've had to overcome the challenges of providing a mobile signal from the satellite to the ground, but we don't have any of the challenges of that logistical problem of moving equipment around the continent, which is an incredibly big challenge.
It really is. Wow, that's really impressive. So speaking about Tech Unite, how did you find out about the event, and what has your experience been so far since you've been here?
I got invited to speak. That's the first time I'd heard about it. It's my first. This year, it's my first one that I've attended. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversations yesterday around cloud infrastructure, artificial intelligence, and then this morning I had a great session on stage talking about the telecoms industry in Africa. I thoroughly enjoy these kind of events. It's lovely to get out into the markets and see what's happening. I love Lagos. Lagos just doesn't love me with the humidity. Apologies for the sweating.
No, it's all good. You're good.
But love being here. It's a great event. I'm looking forward to this afternoon's sessions, and then we have the awards this afternoon as well. So looking forward to see who's going to be winning those awards.
Right. So since you mentioned about Lagos, please, I would like to ask you what your favorite foods are, or some of your favorite places to visit in Lagos are.
So definitely, let's go with favorite foods. Definitely soya.
Wow.
Suya,
right.
Suya, is that the correct pronunciation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes,
Suya.
yeah, right.
Yeah, so I love Suya. Chicken and beef, definitely my go-to favorites. places to go. I generally don't go out that much when I'm here, but Hard Rock's obviously a standard. And yeah, kind of generally I'm here in business, not partying as much as I should.
Got you. Lastly, what I would like to ask is, what do you see for the future?
Sorry, I need to interrupt you. And obviously, Nigerian dress is the only way to go.
I was about to comment on that. Compliment. This is so lit. This looks really nice.
So
Compliments to the tailor.
I have stopped wearing Western suits altogether.
Wow.
I only wear these suits.
Oh, that's amazing.
This one is actually from Kigali in Rwanda.
Ooh, nice.
But it's a Nigerian guy that went over there, got a job in Kigali, started a tailor,
wow.
and this is the result.
It looks amazing,
so,
by the way.
I'm a huge fan of the Nigerian dress, as you can see, and it's great to be here. Sorry, I interrupted.
No. I actually like that. I appreciate that because I feel like a lot of the times Nigerians, especially the ones who travel a lot, don't really represent Africa like they should. I'm talking about like our celebs and things like that. They look a little bit Western, so it's good to see someone from that side of the world that appreciates our fashion. So that's really cool.
I must be honest, I laugh regularly when I meet my Nigerian colleagues in the industry at international events, and I'm the one in a traditional suit,
and they're all in
Western
ties,
suits.
and it's like, wow. Yeah,
so we do laugh about that regularly.
Wow, that must be really fun. What I actually wanted to ask is, what do you see the future? What do you see in the future in terms of telecommunications and tech here in Africa in the next, say, 5 years in comparison? So I want it to be specific to Nigeria and then also Africa as a globe as a whole in comparison to what's going on in like the Western markets or in the global market.
As I mentioned on stage earlier, I think we need to stop this view that we need to look to Western markets to see what's happening. I think there are many innovations that have been born out of Africa. Mobile banking is one that I mentioned. Mobile banking is an African invention. Mobile banking was launched by M-Pesa in Kenya for the first time.
Wow.
MTN Money, which is now Momo, came out of that. And from a specifically Nigerian perspective, I think we need to look at how we can overcome these current forex issues. The importation of telecoms equipment at the moment is ridiculously expensive because of the devaluation in the naira. It's made it an incredibly challenging environment for the mobile operators and everybody in the telco sector in Nigeria. So I think that's certainly something that we need to overcome. Something that I mentioned earlier is the one way to solve that would be to look at some sort of local manufacturing of telecoms equipment in Nigeria, where you could then have manufacturers selling in local currency. That would obviously make an enormous difference to the industry.
It would.
The regulatory environment in Nigeria has certainly improved over the years, but I think from an African perspective, we certainly still need some harmonization in terms of regulations. The African Union has a role to play there in terms of helping the telecoms industry. So the regulatory harmonization, it's certainly something that would help the industry in terms of being able to work across multiple markets. Certainly we're finding that as we enter a new market, we need to then understand what each country's local regulations are. If you compare that to doing business in the European Union, for example, they're standardized rules across the entire market. So you can work across 20-25 countries with exactly the same regulatory environment. In Africa, that's not the case. You've literally got to do country by country, market by market. So that regulatory harmonization would make a difference. So I'm incredibly excited, and I think in the next 5 years, my hope is that we will have closed the digital divide, and there will be 100% connectivity for everybody on the continent where and when they need it.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
The conversation has been very insightful.
My name is Bradley Shaw, Vice President Middle East and Africa here at Tech Unite Africa in Lagos, Nigeria. And a great shout out to ZI for the interview, and look forward to seeing the content in the future.
Thank you so much, sir. Very good to meet you. I appreciate your time.
Cheers, man. Thanks very much.